All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Julie Defoe. I'm the International Market Manager for Go West Summit. Thank you for being a part of our first ever How to Virtual Summit. In this session, you're going to learn a couple of tips and tricks to conduct a successful virtual appointment. To kick things off, please allow me to introduce you to Mary Motzenbacher, President of Go West Summit.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you again for joining us for our very first virtual Go West Summit. And these tips and tricks, hopefully you'll find very useful on how to make this the most productive session that you will have now and for quite a while. Again, I'm Mary Motzenbacher. I'm president of Go West Summit. And our hearts go out to everyone that's been negatively affected by this current tumultuous situation. We all know how the tourism industry has been affected by this global pandemic. And we're here today and throughout the Go West Summit appointments to support each other and work toward the recovery of our industry. And hopefully this will give us all a good send-off. Over the last 32 years, Go West Summit has provided the opportunity to expand international tourism in the American West. We create a platform where suppliers and buyers can meet and create business relationships with each other. And this year is no different. While 2020 has brought extraordinary challenges to our travel and tourism industry, we're staying dedicated to help you build your business. We're firmly committed to serving the needs of the tourism industry in this temporary but very severe disruption. As we always say at Go West, our success is your success. We are excited about these new opportunities that going virtual provides you. We have an improved matching system. It gives you more control. The new direct scheduling format allows you to view specific appointment opportunities and request a meeting. There's no more waiting for your final appointment schedule to be sent to you. There's little risk, but there's high reward. Conducting appointments from your own safe workspace puts you in control of your own safety and retains the same number of appointment opportunities that you had on the marketplace floor. You're also saving time on travel and expenses on travel and hotel. By going virtual, this gives you longer appointment sessions. As you'll see next week, we have 30-minute appointment sessions. This longer session allows time to establish relationships, negotiate contracts, and bring you success, which is the bottom line. Since Zoom technology has been embedded into our software, you can expect the same functionality that you become familiar with. Prepare your slideshow, prepare a profile sheet, and share that and present it during your appointment sessions, and you'll hear more about that in the next hour. Our Education Week, we're providing, along with industry leaders, we're proud to offer 10 free virtual education sessions this week. Each session is designed to provide you with the latest data and give you tools that you'll need to produce results and be successful in this changing environment. Our session schedule is posted on the Go West Summit website, and we encourage you to register for additional webinars and be part of this discussion as the week goes on. Together, we will rebuild our industry. We'll be stronger than ever. In looking forward, Go West Summit will produce a second virtual marketplace March 1 through 5 in 2021. And we're excited to host our next in-person summit in Reno, Nevada, February 14 through 17 in 2022. So mark your calendars. And now allow me to introduce you to Barb Bowman, who most of you know, along with Julianne Frederick and Julie Defoe, who will provide the tips and tricks for adapting to a virtual summit. We do appreciate your support. Please keep your questions coming. And now I'd like to introduce you and turn it over to Barbara Bowman.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's so great to see everybody virtually. So welcome to How to Virtual Summit, where we're going to talk about how to make your summit successful through learning about virtual meeting enhancements, creative appointment tips, and the basics of navigating virtual Go West. So through COVID, we've all had to discover new ways to stay connected with each other, and Zoom has certainly allowed us to do that. Did you know that at the end of last year, there were only 10 million Zoom participants because by March, there were over 200 million. Wow, we are using the right technology for sure. So some housekeeping tips first. You have been muted by the host. Please enter your questions into the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, which some of you are already doing. We all know how to do that, I think. We will be taking Q&A at the end of the session. And that's it. So let's Zoom, as they say. And I'm turning it back over to Julie. Thanks again.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I think that we've held you on to the ringer long enough. Let's dive in with some tips and tricks for Zoom and for virtual meetings. Excuse me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. We got it. Looks like
Sounds like there were a couple audio issues coming through. So if you guys couldn't hear that, please know that this session and all other education sessions will be recorded and posted to our website so you can view a little later. The whole gist of that video was basically just showing some of the common technical failures that people experience with these virtual meetings. So we wanted to set the scene with that. I think we've all kind of had the glitchy, you're muted, can't hear you, what's going on? So let's figure out how we can get those fixed moving forward. All right, so first, with your best virtual practices, we hope that you can consider this your checklist for your virtual appointments. First things first, set the scene. Make sure that you find a quiet, distraction-free space, something where you can have your 30-minute appointments without an interruption. Find an area with nice lighting and a professional background. As you see, all of us panelists today have a nice Go West Summit virtual background. Unfortunately, this isn't an option for the appointment scheduling this time around, but what you can do is make sure the space behind you is clean and organized and isn't going to show anything that might be distracting to the people that you're meeting with. Last, make sure you use a flattering camera angle. And by that, I suggest you have something that is eye level. So you're looking directly into the camera rather than showing an upshot of an unflattering view of your face and your chin. So try and get that eye level. Some computers have your camera automatically embedded at the bottom of your screen. I would just recommend trying to find a lift to lift your computer up higher to get that as eye level as possible. Before you get going with your appointments, make sure you test your technology. Confirm that your audio and your camera are functioning properly by going into your computer settings. Also make sure that you have a nice strong internet connection before you hit start meeting. Dress professionally. I know this one's a little weird because we're going virtual this year, but it is still important that you're showing your best to the people that you're meeting with. So make sure you have a nice top on that has no distracting prints, nothing too loud, nothing with stripes, because those will pick up too weird on the camera. Also, try to avoid wearing loud and shiny jewelry. You have something too shiny, you might get a light and blind the person you're talking to. And if it's too noisy, you might get that feedback as well. So keep that in mind as you're preparing. Also, keep your body movements to a minimum. Sometimes excessive body movement can degrade your video quality. Finally, and probably most importantly, remember that you are in a meeting. Just because you're not in the same place at the same time doesn't mean that this is any less formal. So give your full attention to the person you're speaking with as if you would in the same room. Avoid eating and drinking. That way you're always available to answer a question and you're always able to provide feedback right away. Also, as I think we all know, chewing might get picked up in your audio. Nobody wants to have chewing in their ear when they're conducting a business appointment. Another great tip is to try to avoid all distractions before you even get going. That means exiting out of your web browser, your email, putting your phone away. I have my email completely shut off right now, but if I had it open and I got an email, you would hear that clicking and that notification noise come through, which would be very distracting for an appointment. So good tips to keep in mind there. As you all probably know at this point, our virtual appointment system is going to be powered by Zoom. So we want to do our best to make sure everybody is as comfortable as possible with the software. In a normal Zoom meeting, if you wiggle your mouse, you'll see a toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Here, you can unmute and mute yourself, you can turn on your camera, turn off your camera, and you can share your screen. Because you're joining as a webinar attendee today, you might not have these options available, so don't freak out. You'll definitely have those for your appointments. Just want to make sure you know that that toolbar is an incredibly useful tool and to get familiar with that there. Changing your view. Right now, you probably see just my face and just the presentation, but if you wanted to adjust things later on to see all 4 of us panelists, you can click at the top upper right-hand corner of your Zoom window and change your view. Gallery view is a great way to see everybody in the meeting at once, where speaker view, which I think is what you're all seeing now, is just the person that's speaking. So go ahead and mess with these at your own time. That way, if you're having a meeting with multiple delegates, you can see everybody at once rather than just the person speaking. So great tip for you there. Another tip is that you can mute and unmute yourself with a space bar. This is always handy in a pinch if there's something crashing behind you, or maybe you have to sneeze or something. So just use that space bar. In meeting chat, it looks like we have a lot of people familiar with this one already. So Zoom is great because you have the chat option. If you want to share a link during your business appointment, or you want to say a quick hello, or whatever it may be, you can do so by clicking the chat at the Zoom controls in the bottom of your toolbar. Finally, and maybe most importantly, we've received this question a lot on the Go West Summit team. So you can share your screen. I'll repeat it. You can share your screen. And so this is what a great benefit of going virtual has for everybody. Because you can share your screen, that way you can show product images, videos, your website, whatever your toolkit is for your appointments, you're able to share this with everybody. It's the same thing that we all do in our in-person appointments, but now you're not lugging stuff around. So definitely make the most out of this. To share your screen for a Zoom meeting, click the share screen icon in the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. It's also green and has a little up arrow, so it's pretty easy to find it. You'll have the option to share either your entire desktop or just a window or just a presentation, whatever it may be. And to stop sharing your screen, all you have to do is click the stop share button that'll be bright red at the top of your screen. Some common tech confusion. I think these kind of were apparent in that video if you were able to hear it and see it. First, and maybe most commonly, is the echo. I think we've all heard the echo. If you're hearing the echo, that means that there might be a device channeling some feedback, or you might have joined a meeting with 2 devices. So perhaps you joined with your computer audio, and perhaps you joined with your phone audio. So both of those are picking up off of each other and making some weird noises in the background. A good tip for this is to use headphones with a mic whenever you're doing these meetings. It gives a nice clear voice for the people you're speaking with, and then you can hear things really well as also. And then in general, it's always nice to get into the practice of muting yourself whenever you're not speaking. That way, if you have a cough or you drop something or whatever it may be, you're not picking that up in your business appointments. All right, so you can't hear maybe. Something to keep in mind is to always utilize your computer settings. Just because your volume is turned up in Zoom, that might not mean that your volume is turned up on your computer. So definitely mess with these settings before you start your appointments. Also, a great tip here is to use that headphone with a microphone. That way you've got some really great control there. If you have microphone issues, there could be a couple things going on. In this situation, you are not able to speak because we're in a webinar and I have you all muted. So in a different type of meeting with just a couple people, it'll be easier to check the bottom of your Zoom toolbar and see if you're muted. So that's always an option. And also make sure that you've connected to your computer's microphone. Again, something you can do in your computer settings. If your camera isn't working properly, close out all programs that might already be using your webcam. Maybe one system is picking it up and Zoom isn't able to as a result. So definitely try doing that. And if needed, restart your computer. That way this will be the only program using your webcam for sure. One great tip is if you have low bandwidth, if there is some choppiness or some glitches you're experiencing, a great tip is to just turn off your camera. Obviously, you're building better business relationships if you can go face-to-face as much as possible, see each other, interact like that. But if you're not able to hear things or see anything because of choppiness, it's okay to just turn off that camera altogether, and you can do the Zoom wave hello and goodbye that way. And that way they can still see your smiling face without it interrupting your business appointment. We've consolidated a ton of resources for you, which you can find on the Go West Summit website, the event tab, How to Summit. Here you can find our direct scheduling tutorial, which since that's a new offer this year, it's great to familiarize yourself with that. You'll also find a tutorial for conducting your virtual appointments, and a virtual technical toolkit is available. That's all of the information I just went through with you consolidated into one document. So you can you can review everything in your own time without having to rewatch this video. So I hope that that's helpful for you all. And finally, we did do our best to consolidate the most common concerns and advice that we can find for a virtual meeting. However, please know that the Zoom Help Center is a great resource. You can find FAQs, troubleshooting, and they have tutorial videos for everything you could possibly think of. So I really recommend using that if you have a little bit of Zoom anxiety. So get familiar with that and know that there's a ton of resources on that website. With a quick search, you can find anything. All right, well, please allow me to turn it over to Julianne Frederick, who will give some more information on how to summit.
Well, I started muted, so my bad. I guess we're all figuring it out. So yes, hello, welcome. We're glad that you're here. Virtual Go West Summit, here we go. I'm not sure if anyone else has participated in a virtual marketplace yet. I have. I actually did one in June, and it was very interesting. We missed the hugs and how are yous and high fives, but at the end of 2 days, I did have 31 successful appointments without any technical hiccups, which is nice to report. I'm sure we're going to go through lots of things this afternoon that might be redundant to some of you. As I look over the list, there's lots of folks that have done this a few times before, so bear with us and just know that we're here trying to help. So again, in advance, always review your scheduled appointments, ask about their needs when it's an operator request. Suppliers, tell them why and how your service or product might complement their product. Mutual requests, ask, listen, share, and check in. I have a feeling there's going to be lots of checking in on this marketplace. You know, we all miss each other and we all want to check in and see how everybody's doing. So please take time to do that. I would also suggest to add to your toolkit, your virtual toolkit, is perhaps a map. You know, point out where your closest international airport is. You know, it is international business, so kind of bring them in, gather them, you know, show them what's around you. Perhaps they go to Utah, but not Colorado or California. Bring them closer to home. Use a map to do that. I think it's very helpful. And again, you can do that virtually. You can share that when you're sharing your screen. Make sure you've read company profiles, visited their websites. Again, appointments are not fact-finding missions. I think we all know that by now. But just remember, do your homework. Make sure you're making the best use of your time. Be prepared with rates for the next 2 years. I would say even beyond that. I'm working with tour operators that are extending their 2020 reservations to allow those people to book into 21 and 22. So if those are filling up with past guests, they might be already working further out. Buyers, be prepared with your UBS programs and needs, and be ready to explore the US. There's lots of beauty out there. You know, we're always looking for something new. So again, suppliers, be prepared with that too. You know, Barb, what does Barb call it? The power of 3. Make sure you have your top 3, what's new in your area with your product, etc., ready for them. But as I mentioned, buyers, just be prepared. The US is a beautiful place. Come and explore.
Thanks, Julianne. So what to expect during the virtual Go West Summit appointments? We've made it so easy for you. During the event, all you have to do is simply click a link on your appointment schedules to begin the meeting. There's no extra apps required. Thank you very much. That really helps us with everything else we have to be worried about. So you have 30-minute appointments. We talked about that. I mean, there's enough time in there to establish relationships, chat with people you know really well and get a good conversation going, negotiate contracts. It's plenty of time. If you do finish early, no worries. You can prepare for your next appointment or begin your follow-up. That'll also help the tour operator, so don't worry about that. And as we mentioned before, the virtual meetings allow you to screen share. So please make the most of this opportunity when you can put up a PowerPoint if you want, or you could put up some photos of your destination, your hotel, your attraction. It really makes it easy and convenient for you.
Yeah.
I need to listen to our own webinar before I present here. We do have a lot of experienced veterans on this webinar this afternoon, and so this is just a quick reminder. Don't assume anything, and even though this is virtual, do introduce yourself, provide your full company name, title if you don't know them, describe your role in your company so they know exactly what your responsibilities are and that they know that you can handle their needs. And then do tell them again how you can help them in their specific role and that you will be the one that will be doing the follow-up. Or if you are not the one, if you're sitting in for someone else, who that person will be and what the follow-up will be, and reiterate that. Acknowledge them, especially if they're an international appointment, just being respectful, as we all are, but especially virtually. Recognize their name, their title, their company. Let them know that you've done your research on their company and you may say something about what you've learned, and just reiterate that the information that has been given to you prior to the appointment is correct, so that you can target their needs and target specifics instead of rambling on about something that may not be appropriate to them. And then let them know that you will be following up, which is, you'll hear this continually for the rest of this webinar, but that's the most important thing, is follow up, follow up, follow up. There's no reason to have these appointments if you don't give them what their needs are. Barb.
Thank you, Mary. So I get the 4 Ps: prepare, practice, pace, and prevent. So again, prepare by reviewing your scheduled appointments, do your research. You know, you're not walking to the next appointment this time, you are pushing a button to get in there, I guess. But again, review who you're gonna be, who's gonna be behind that screen once you do push that button. You know, if you're expecting Jorge and it's Muriel, you know, that might throw you off a little bit, and it might take you a couple minutes to recover from that. So again, just please review your scheduled appointments. This next one is particularly important to me, and that's practice your tone and speak slowly. We're dealing with a lot of international operators. English might not be their first language. I know that when I was living in Switzerland and trying to learn French and German, you know, as soon as I got those first couple sentences, I was so excited and I jumped out there and I started speaking, and next thing I knew, they took off and they left me at Guten Tag. I couldn't understand a thing afterward. So please remember it's their second language, or it might not be their first. Speak slowly, avoid slang, as you know, and just be aware that it might not be their first language. Pace yourself. You've got 30 minutes. So you do have time to reiterate what's been said, to make sure you're understanding each other, and just take a time and sit back and try to enjoy it. The first couple slides, for me, the first couple slides are, you know, I'm a little nervous, and for you, it might be the first couple appointments. So just kind of sit back, give yourself a break, and just pace yourself and take care of the appointment as best you can. Prevent distractions. Of course, put your cell phones away, turn it over, put it on mute. Don't let the cat come walking across your lap, or the grandkids come saying, Nana, come get me. You know, do your best to put yourself in an area where you won't have any distractions. Thanks. Barb?
Thank you, Julianne. So how do we build relationships online? So use your video. I mean, we've got this fantastic virtual, you know, background going on. You need to set up your own virtual background that is branded. I mean, that is worth its weight in gold. And then, you know, schedule your PowerPoint or your video so that you use it, maybe not throughout the appointment, but just at one time during the appointment. Make time to do the introduction, get to know people well, and then begin in. And even tell the tour operator that you're planning on doing a video or a PowerPoint, and is that okay with them? You know, they may just want to chat about a contract, or they may have a specific question for you before you begin. So make eye contact by looking into the camera. I know this is hard, but once again, you know, we keep reiterating this, but I found this is one of the toughest things to do, and also to keep, you know, without using your hands like I always do. Have a genuine conversation. We know that's the most important part about all these appointments. And, you know, it's so fun. It's going to be so great to catch up with everybody. And of course, as Mary said, thank them. Thank the tour operator for taking time to do the appointment with you. And speaking of that, we have breaking news from Bob Ribello. I wanted to let everybody know that last year, the average number of appointments for you as suppliers, if you're on this webinar, it was 20, and this year it's already at 33. Wow. So there's a wonderful brand new tip for you all. So thanks. Now back to Julianne.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, so getting the most out of your marketplace appointments. You know, we keep talking about it. Get engaged, really have great conversations, and take notes. I find dual screens are helpful when you're taking notes. Obviously, a piece of paper or whatever you're used to. Unfortunately, we're not going to be writing on the back of business cards this time, but take notes. But please do let them know that you're taking notes so they don't think that you're just looking over at your phone. And again, a couple appointments into it, everyone's going to kind of get their groove on and it'll be more natural. But again, just let them know that you are taking notes. Summarize all of the points discussed at the end of the meeting as you're going through it. Again, trying to avoid any language barriers as well. Just reiterate everything that's been discussed. Determine what the next step is. Some people would like to have follow-up done immediately. Others want to wait a little bit. So just talk with them and see what their needs are. Keep track of verbal sales and commitments. Confirm them in writing immediately afterward. Again, you're going to be busy. Even if you're sitting in one spot, you're still changing appointments. You're meeting with different people. So if there's something that someone needs immediately, or if you've said something verbally and you need to get it out, please just take the few minutes to get that out. We've said it before. do your research. Know what type of product the buyer asks, ask the right questions, determine their needs. Then only, so this last one, discuss products and services which fits their needs. If there's not a match, thank them and move on. Yes, absolutely. But also don't dismiss it just because you think it's not a match. I remember there was one show, I was ready to show up at this appointment with my little cup of ice cream, give it to them and say, have a great 15-minute break because you don't come to my area. And this gentleman said, no, 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 please sit down. Actually, I need you because I've got a custom group that really wants to come to your area and I haven't a clue because I don't come to your area. So again, for me, that's, you never know what is out there, what, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But anyway, there's always opportunities out there. That's what I was looking for. You never know what opportunities are out there.
So what comes next? And thanks, Julianne. That really is true. I can't tell you the number of appointments I had where I went, this is definitely not a match, and went to the appointment, and lo and behold, they were operating a tour that was coming, into Utah or close to us or whatever. So, that's a really good point. So again, Mary, we've all talked about it. Mary's talked about it. Julianne's talked about it. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Promptly follow up with requested information. But sometimes, the tour operator may not want the follow-up right away. So just confirm, number one, who you should follow up with. Because if you're meeting with the CEO, sometimes they would prefer that the information go to the product manager. And then other times, they may want you to follow up that day. I mean, many times I've stepped off the floor and followed up right away, or it may be next month or a couple months from now. So be sure and confirm, number one, who you're following up with and when the tour operator would like you to follow up with them. Personalize your communications. Avoid mass cookie cutter follow-up. I don't think we can say this enough. Make sure that you're communicating and make sure that you double check that email before you press send on it. Just last week, I sent one to Mary and I should have sent it to Bob. So at any rate, make sure that you just personalize it to what their needs are and that you double check it to make sure everything's correct before you send it. If the buyer is interested, I don't think we need to say this, ask for the business in the follow-up, of course. But sometimes, we're kind of hesitant, but don't be hesitant. Ask for the business. That's why we're here at Go West. And then follow up from time to time to continue building the relationship. But more than that, and I don't think I'm saying anything that all of you don't know, create a communication timeline to keep the conversation moving forward. And you might want to establish that with the tour operator. Many times I'll just ask, would you like me to follow up once or twice a year with what's new with us? Would it be okay if you received our newsletter? Those kinds of things. So make sure that you create a communication timeline, that makes sense, timeline, because it's all about consistency. So back to Julianne.
Thank you, Barb. So please remember, this is the beginning. Developing international business is a process and it can take 2 to 5 years. Don't be discouraged. It does. It's going to take some time to get to know them, for them to get to know your area, your product. Some of you may close business right away. They're looking for something in your area. You might be signing contracts on the floor. You just never know. But please don't get discouraged. International business and any relationship takes some time to develop. The relationships mean trust and commitment first, then the business follows. So again, speaking from experience, please, that word follow up, here we go again. Follow up. I've sat down with an operator a year later and started the conversation, and he looks at me, he goes, I'm still waiting for what you promised you were going to get me last year. That itinerary, it was terrible. But again, it happens, yes, but don't let that be you. Just get that trust, give them what they're looking for, follow up, follow up, follow up. Participate annually in Go West Summit. As you heard, Go West has been around for 30 years, and it's obviously the place to be for building your international business. I wouldn't skip a year. Sometimes people say, I'm going to go this year, and then I'm going to take a couple years off. Well, by doing that, you're interrupting that relationship. You're taking time out of that 2 to 5 years it does take to build those relationships. So please just continue going. Lots of people have lots of people that you will meet with have really built their business by going to Go West. You know, some of the other shows are too big or too expensive, and Go West, as I said, it's the place to go for your international business. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, like my little turtle. Anyway, I think we're going to roll into some Q&A right now. Thank you all.
Thank you guys. Well, let's go ahead and do some Q&A. If you have any questions that haven't been answered yet, please enter it into your Q&A chat box, which you can find at the bottom of your Zoom screen with a little wiggle. And we already have a couple, so give me a moment as I start reading these off and answering them. All right, so one first question is, can we use a phone or an iPad for appointments? How do we click to open them? So absolutely, yes, you can. I will say that if you want to share your screen, it might be more of a challenge on a phone than it would be on a desktop computer, but the process is going to stay the same. You'll just click that link that you saw in the the slide that Barb was going through, big red button that says how to start a meeting, or start a meeting right here. Same process. Good question. I also see a question about starting the meetings, and that is if suppliers can start the meeting before a buyer. Unfortunately, no. Buyers in media are going to be considered the host of your Zoom meeting. So buyers and media need to go ahead and start the meeting in order for suppliers to join. So if you're a supplier and you're ready to go and it's a couple minutes late, maybe give it a little bit longer to give that buyer or media contact some time to get in there. Okay. Can more than one person from one company click into a scheduled appointment? For an example, can myself and a colleague present to a client? The answer is kind of yes and no on this one. Our system only allows for the people registered to do this quick click to join the meeting. So if you have a secondary delegate as a buyer or a supplier, then yes, you will have individual links to enter into your meeting. If you are just trying to train somebody, or you want somebody to be a part of one conversation only, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to join. You have to be registered in order to do the click to join link. All right, you guys have a lot of questions, so give me a moment to organize through this. Okay, let me answer that. Will I be able to download profiles of the companies I have meetings with? Yes, 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 absolutely yes. And you can even download the appointments profiles of the people that you don't have appointments with. So definitely yes. Just today, our system programmers made it an option for you to download a quick, simple meeting list of everybody that you have confirmed meetings with. And that will have date, time, company, and delegate listed. So another great tool for you. Then you can kind of cross-reference with that download profile list. I have a question that says, can you confirm, can we use custom backgrounds? Unfortunately, this year, we're not going to be able to do that for our Go West Summit appointments. However, you can do it in a general meeting or something else on your own free time outside of the Zoom, outside of the Go West appointment. So in that technical toolkit document, there's a little blurb on how to do a virtual background there in case you want to it for your personal use. Who should be initiating the appointment? Meaning, as a supplier, do we wait for the buyer to allow us in? So we kind of talked about this, but just to make it super clear, buyers and medias will start the appointment and suppliers will join a little bit later. So it's not necessarily that the buyer allows you in, you're just waiting for that buyer to start that meeting so you can get going. And yep, all suppliers and buyers will have the ability to share their screen, even if just the buyer is the host. That's a great question. Let's keep going. When will the Zoom links be sent out? The Zoom links will be available at the time of your appointment start in your member profile page for Go West Summit. So you'll have to log into our member area, go to your appointment, and then you'll be able to hit that little red icon, start meeting there. excuse me guys, when do we receive the final appointment list? So because we're doing direct appointment scheduling for this year, it's kind of an ever-flowing thing. So you create your own appointment list, and then from there, you're able to see it change live. So that's a great new thing with our direct scheduling appointments. Again, another resource for you is the direct scheduling tutorial, which is available online on our How to Summit page. That'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. To show your slideshow presentation, you're going to do this by going into your share screen icon at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. So again, you got to give it a little wiggle or maybe a click, and there's going to be a big green up arrow that says share screen. And from there, you can kind of decide if you share your screen, your whole desktop, or just one PowerPoint presentation. A great question here. Who is our contact at Go West Summit if we have any problems? If you send us an email to info@gowestsummit.com, just info@gowestsummit.com. It's all over our website and a lot of our branding too, just in case you didn't get that. You'll be able to contact our vice president who will shoot out the question to the appropriate person. So please don't hesitate to do that. Even today, if there's some questions that you have lingering after after this presentation, please feel free to always reach out to us that way. Switching over to the chat real fast.
Hey, Julianne, this is Barb. We have a question that I think is really worth pursuing on here, and it's what have you been hearing from buyers, tour operators as their #1 question for destinations? I think I can guess, but I thought I'd ask if there was something that has been significant. Julianne, do you recall the #1 question you had? I mean, it's always been what's new, but is there something else that we might be missing on this?
Well, of course, unfortunately, right now it's all about COVID. You know, people were asking, you know, what precautions were being taken, et cetera, as far as reopening of destinations and attractions.
That's exactly what I thought. So everybody needs to be really prepared with their COVID information and be able to send it quickly, digitally, you know, that kind of thing. So hopefully that helps you, Dave.
Thank you, Barb. Super helpful. So I see some questions, a lot of the same questions about sharing your screen and how to do virtual backgrounds and how to just really utilize Zoom. So again, I'd like to point you to our, let me try and say it, Virtual Technical Toolkit, which is available on our website under the How to Summit page. So everything is consolidated there. This recording or this session is going to be recorded. It will be posted to our website. Just the slideshow will be posted too if you don't want our commentary. So just please utilize these resources. And if you feel like there's something that's missing or something that you'd want to know, shoot us an email at that info@gowestsummit.com so we can put that into a consolidated place for you. We really just want to make things as easy as possible. We understand that the switch to virtual is not as seamless as some make it out to be, which is why we wanted to run through this with you today. So the resources are there, and if we can expand on them, please let us know. Here's a question about recording your appointments. Unfortunately, our system will not allow for you to record appointments this time. But with that 30-minute window for all of your appointments, you can definitely use that time to do some clarifying questions and you know, talk very slow and kind of get through those communication hurdles that way. I see a question about if there's a way to upload documents in the supplier profiles. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. I don't believe that there is. I know you can download, but not necessarily upload. So good question, and I will follow up with you, Anna. Thank you.
Hey, Julianne, this is Barb. I want to go back to the, you know, how you, if we can't record, which I think probably in the future, you know, stay tuned, that'll probably be an opportunity for Zoom. But basically what I've done is set up a second screen. And once again, when I'm talking with someone, I will mention to them that, that I am going to be taking notes on a second screen, just so that they know that when my eyes divert, right, you know, it's not that I'm not paying attention to them. You know, like Julianne said, you know, just let them know. And I think that's the best way to handle it. Julianne, any other suggestions?
No, I think you're right. Just again, give them your full attention as you would if you were sitting in front of them, and do let them know when your eyes are going someplace else that there's a reason.
Thank you. And I see a question about the time differences with our appointment scheduling. So obviously we're doing 24 hours, which we don't expect anybody to go full 24 hours, 5 days a week. So that's why we have that confirm my time zone. That way you can easily schedule appointments and also block off time if you have to sleep or you have other conflicting business appointments. So just utilize that. All of that is available on the direct scheduling tutorial, which is already posted onto our website. So definitely get familiar with that. And as far as buyers and suppliers meeting in the middle to confirm a time that works for both time zones, unfortunately, it's just kind of a bit of a compromise. You know, it might be an early morning for some person, a later night for others. And we understand that this isn't always easy, but we're hoping with that 24-hour window, there's some wiggle room to create the schedule the way you want to take your appointments in the timeline you want to take them. So just don't be afraid to ask those questions to the suppliers or the buyers to get through to one another and find a time that really works for both of you. Okay. And we do have buyers and suppliers on this call, just so you guys know. So this is tailored a little bit more towards suppliers, but the information is still relevant for buyers. And again, if you are a buyer and you have specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us so we can get you feeling really comfortable and confident. I don't see any other questions that we haven't answered at this time. I'm looking through our chat box, and I love that you guys have utilized all this. There is a tip from David Kasser, thank you, that when you're doing a chat in the Zoom platform, you're able to customize who you're chatting to. You can chat to one individual, or you can chat to the panelists, or you can chat to the whole group of people on that webinar or that meeting. So your little to option will have a drop down, and that's where you can select who you're going to send a chat to.
Hey, Julie, this is Barb. I think there's a couple questions that maybe we just need to address. And, you know, if you don't have a lot of appointments, you still have the opportunity to add appointments. Someone went on here and said their appointment requests, that several of them are still impending. So Julie, can you address that for us?
Yes,
time
absolutely.
frames?
So your pending requests for appointments are going to be available for 72 hours. And so this is just because if somebody went on vacation, you're able to move forward with your appointment scheduling without waiting for that one time frame. So it's really to help open up your schedule. All of the pending requests that